trash. The trash everywhere. The heaps of trash. I'm just like, where else do you see these things happen? So I'm over it. I am officially over New York. Hey everyone, so thank you for joining me again for another Mondays with Mel. I bet you thought I wouldn't have one today because it's Christmas. I actually did think about skipping this week and probably next week because, you know, today's Christmas, next week is New Year's, but hey, I've committed to this and I was like, why not? Let's just keep going with the flow. So it's Christmas morning. And for those of you that don't know, I grew up in a very Caribbean household. So Christmas here, traditional Christmas morning, or how I was raised anyway, starts off with bread, ham, and some other fixings on the plate. So that's how I had my breakfast this morning. Bread, ham, piece of rum cake, piece of sweet bread, which I was grating coconuts for yesterday the old school way. And it's crazy, like I had posted something about it on my Instagram and so many people were like in my DMs like, use a food processor, or I haven't done that since how much years and no way I'm doing that and stuff. I don't know. I just personally feel sometimes doing things the old school way just comes out better. Like, yeah, there probably are more efficient ways of doing it, but I don't know. There are some things that just doing it traditionally and old school ways, like it just makes it better, and that happens to be one when we're making sweetbread. So yes, I grated the coconut by hand and my mother and I finished making fixins together. And then the sweetenings, the sorrel is always my job. I actually have my glass here because Christmas ain't Christmas without some sorrel. So good. So yeah, it's still fairly early for the day. Normally my aunt cooks, so we will be going over to her house later to eat, but my mother and I exchanged gifts this morning before, so it was funny because I got my mother a recliner that she's been talking about for like months, that she's wanted something new for her room, right? But I had it delivered here in Boston because I live in New York. So I had it delivered here for her, but it was supposed to come like at a later time. So I was eventually just gonna tell her what it was, and I was kind of sad that it was gonna make it on Christmas. But all of a sudden, I got a notice that it was being delivered. So I had to call her and tell her, and I'm like, oh, now she's gonna see it before, but whatever. But it turns out it was just in a big box with no label on it, so she had no idea about it. So it came several days early before I actually arrived in Boston. And every day she just kept complaining about this big box in the middle of her living room, and now it's being used as a table. She had to walk around it. But the whole time she thought it was something for me that I was ordering to bring back to New York. It was for her. So when she finally opened it and saw it was what it was, she was happy about it. But yeah, that was funny. So basically just chilling out now, recording this. And then later on, like I said, we'll go over by my aunt's house. And then I gotta go back to New York tomorrow because I gotta work, which stinks. But I am just thankful to be able to come home and spend a little time, as little as it may be, with my family. As far as the past week goes, another reason why I'm just glad to be home. Last week was rough, I'm not gonna lie, and it's just intense. It really is intense, and you know, the more that I just sit there and I think about things and think about everything around my life, I just knew some things need to change soon. But we are moving forward into 2024, and hopefully with a plan. I do have a plan. I'm not gonna say hopefully. Hopefully my plan will be executed. That's more like it. But that's my goal, to change up some things so I don't have to be in this situation anymore. Because it's really unhealthy for myself, my mind, my sanity, everything around. And honestly, it just stinks. Oh, so last week, I think I mentioned I was going to talk about my thoughts in New York City, which is another reason why I know I need to work on some things, because I moved to New York about 17 years ago now, and I I thought it was the place that I needed to be. Like, New York was, like, I was missing something not being in New York, because all the Caribbean activities were happening in New York. You could get anything in New York. You could see anything in New York. Like, it's just a city of dreams, and really is. And when I moved there, and things like, it was lonely at first because I really didn't have a community. So it was really just like being myself. I ended up getting into a relationship that lasted way longer than it should have. But basically, it was based on friendship and companionship. And it was pretty much because I was alone. But I was not happy in that relationship at all. In fact, it's the only breakup I've ever had in life that I was happy about. Like, I jumped for joy. Sorry to say it, but I did. Because I was in the relationship for the wrong reasons. But I finally moved on from that. And then, like, I went to school, ended up going to grad school, then things happened between me and somebody else, and I decided to stay in New York, and it's just been a lot. The hustle and bustle, it's a lot. And now I'm just at a point in my life, like, I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. It's so expensive to live in New York. And it's not to say that places elsewhere aren't expensive, but New York is just another level. I mean, on top of the everyday expenses that normal people all around the world and stuff are dealing with, higher costs, I mean, just the different tolls that you gotta pay, like parking, if you have to pay, because parking in the city is a disaster. Driving around the city is a disaster. To get from point A to point B is a disaster. Worrying about park when you come back home, if you park in the street, these buildings, the overpriced rent, like they want you to live in like a little 2x4 and still paying exorbitant amount of money for it. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to go to court for issues with landlords that just seem like everyday things that should be done in your place. But like, New York is like a completely different country, I tell people sometimes, because the things that they allow to happen here and they just brush it off. It's like, if this was back home in Boston, you go to City Hall, that is null and void quick. But in New York, it's a lot. And then the trash everywhere, the heaps of trash. I'm just like, where else do you see these things happen? So I'm over it. I am officially over New York. I have a love-hate relationship with the city, because on one end, I do love it, because really and truly, it's so awesome, the different people that you meet from all different types of cultures. You literally can find anything in the city from anywhere, and it's lovely at any time of the day, any time of the hour, whatever. But the hustle and bustle is just, I can't do it anymore. I can't. But the one thing I've been preaching and I keep sharing with people now is like, I truly understand why they say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, here being New York. Because it really is true. Because the amount of times that I've had to rub 15 cents together to make something to keep a roof over my head, it's just like, wow. And I'm still here, going and kicking. So really and truly, like, I'm not afraid to be anywhere else. I talk about like living other places with people, or like when I've traveled to Europe or things, and they're like, you think you'd be able to live here? Like, it's expensive. And I'm like, my answer is always like, I live in New York. It's like easy breezy to me. Yes, everywhere else is expensive, but after living in New York, it's like, just last month I spent some time in London, and like, it was such a breeze. Like, I felt no worries. I mean, I was running from the foxes. That's another thing. It's like, in New York, I'm running away from the rats. In London, yo, foxes just be everywhere on the sidewalk, and I'm like, whoa, what is going on? But other than that, I felt at ease. Some of my friends, my UK friends, they're like, but London's so expensive, da 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 da. And my answer is always, I live in New York. This is a breeze. So I don't have any regrets in being in New York, because I've learned a lot. And not just that, I've met some great people and formed some great relationships being in New York, but I'm over it. 2024 is my last year. Last year in New York, mark my words. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I just know this is it. So that is part of the plans for 2024. But other than that, I'm just trying my best to enjoy this time right now with my family before I have to go back into the rat race tomorrow. And just, keep my head up and as high as possible. So I hope that you guys are enjoying your Christmas, if you celebrate, enjoying your holiday season, that all good things are coming to you guys this week, and I will see you next week. Thanks again for watching. Bye.